All right, so welcome to the webinar on essential oils to assist and support animal shelters and rescue organizations. So my name is Allie Phillips, and this presentation is the exact presentation that I did for Young Living's Animal Essential Oil Conference in April of 2017 at the Moni, Utah farm. So I haven't changed anything. It is exactly what I gave. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in, and I'm actually going to take my video off because it just covers up the screen a little more than I like. So I'll turn it back on at the end. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and type in the chat, and I will keep the chat open so that I can see that. So I have to give this disclaimer written by Young Living that the opinions expressed in this presentation are solely my own. They don't express the views or opinions of Young Living. Young Living doesn't endorse or isn't responsible and makes no representation or warranties regarding what I'm going to talk about. For me, I encourage you to verify what I'm saying. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and you are responsible for the health and wellness of the animals in your care. So anything that I talk about should be in collaboration with your veterinarian. All right, so just a little bit about me. I have been an attorney since 1994. I have spent 23 years in the criminal justice system, primarily in the field of criminal prosecution. And after spending many years as an assistant prosecutor in Lansing, Michigan, I moved to Alexandria, Virginia, outside of DC, and spent collectively 9 years working for the National District Attorneys Association. And in that position, I worked almost the whole time in their child abuse center, but I became the specialist involving animals and animal abuse and how it links to crimes against people. And so in my second go around at NDAA, I actually founded and then directed for 5 years the National Center for Prosecution of Animal Abuse. And in between that time, I was the vice president of public policy for the American Humane Association, where I was in charge of their legislative agenda, and I testified in front of Congress and state legislatures on a variety of child and animal protection issues, and worked on the passage and wrote a lot of laws that have since been passed into law. Then I became their vice president of human animal strategic initiatives, which is something that I still to this day continue working on in a private capacity. And so everything that I do involves animals and how animals connect to people. So I'm a human animal interaction specialist. I'm the founder of Sheltering Animals and Families Together, which is a global initiative to help domestic violence shelters build on-site pet kennels. I have over 100 shelters spanning 6 different countries now. I'm the co-founder of Therapy Animals Supporting Kids. It's a program that incorporates volunteer therapy animal teams with children who are going through the court system, and that is spreading all across the United States. I've written a lot of books. I'm on a lot of advisory councils and board of directors, all that involve caring for animals and helping animals live, with peace and dignity in our world. But in all of that, I'm also a longtime shelter volunteer. I have been volunteering and working in animal shelters and animal rescues for over 17 years now. And I have worked in everything from an animal control shelter, an open admission shelter, to private rescues, to limited intake cat shelters. So I've kind of seen it all. And so what I'm going to talk about is really how we can utilize Young Living products to help shelter and rescue pets feel their best when they're in care. So when we look at the stress of shelter and rescue animals, mean, working or volunteering in a shelter can be stressful, and stress has an energy to it, and animals feel it. So when animals are put together, it can create a stress that often isn't seen. For those of us who have cats, we know that when they're stressed out and they're sick, by the time they show it to us, it's sometimes too late. So, whether an animal is caged, which is not natural, or they're in a free roaming facility, which may be unnatural depending on that particular animal, all of that can add stress, which can deplete the body and deplete and change their behavior. And then we look at different sounds and different smells from where they came from, which often may be a home. So it's different. And if they don't like other animals, that can cause stress if they're seeing them or hanging around them. And then just thinking about them being in cages or kennels, people reach in to pet them, or they stick their fingers in the cages, and that, having strangers do that can add stress. And not having the comforts of home can cause stress. Animals also are very intuitive, and they know what's going on. They know when others are sick. They know when they're scared. They know when they're being taken away for euthanasia. And so physically and emotionally, many, if not all, of shelter and rescue pets are under extreme stress. And this stress can begin to break down the body and their behavior. And, we joke in the field that when someone adopts a pet from a shelter, they are truly seeing them at their worst, and they're going to see the best part of them in their home. But sometimes it can change. The animal's personality can change, and some people may not like that. And if an animal is not able to show their true personality, they may not even get adopted. So in working with essential oils, it can truly save their life. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. So as I talk about how to approach a shelter and a rescue, I really need to make clear that I am only talking about Young Living essential oils and products. When and I do this frequently, I go online and I check the websites of other big name and even small named essential oil companies, and I check to see if they even mention animals. Do they promote their products for animals? And the only company that promotes on their corporate website that their oils can be used with animals is Young Living. It is why I dumped all the other oils I was using, and I now exclusively use Young Living because of the work that I'm doing with animals. So when I'm going through all of this, it is only with Young Living oils. Please do not do any of this with any other oils, because we can't guarantee the safety of them. So when you are approaching a shelter or a rescue, it's really important to come at it from a position of service. So if you are a volunteer, that is fantastic. And volunteering can mean a variety of things. Maybe you take pictures, maybe you do the website, maybe you transport, or you go to mobile adoptions. There are so many positions. But it's important to spend time at the shelter or with the rescue group before you even approach them about the oils, so that it doesn't come off as you just trying to make a quick buck. It's about finding an open-minded person. It's about asking about their struggles. It's offering to help them. Give a free class, donate a diffuser and an oil. Let them do a 2-week test. Let them see how it's going to work. I have a diffuser and a bottle of oil that I have as part of a loaner program. And I loan it out to a veterinary clinic or an animal shelter or a rescue group. And when they're done with it, it goes to the next one and it goes to the next one. So it's important to really approach them from a position of service and wanting to help them. And you will find that doors open a lot faster that way. Now, where can you actually put the oils? So oils are really great in a lobby area. So this is primarily for a shelter, not necessarily a rescue who's dealing with foster homes as their main way of housing animals. So when you think of what a lobby is, if a lobby to an animal shelter is welcoming, people are going to enjoy their time there. They're going to spend more time there. They're going to look at the animals more. So it creates a welcoming entry. It can help people who are coming in to surrender their pets to make it welcoming for them to do that. Because the last thing that we want is for people to dump their animals on the side of the road. We need to make shelters welcoming so that the animals can go into their care. It can help potential adopters to really choose the right animal for them because the animals are in a right state of mind. It can provide a fresh, natural scent that isn't chemicals, the chemical plug-ins or sprays or things like that. But it also helps the staff because when a lot of people are very passionate about helping animals and, they think that their dream job is running a rescue or working at a shelter, but it can be really hard dealing with some of the people that come in. And the more that you can boost your emotions and stay positive and stay happy, the better it's going to be for the shelter overall. So diffusing oils in the lobby is a great way to get started. That's like the first step to help a shelter get involved. The next is to start putting diffusers and the oils back in the cat and dog kennels. What this does is it's very calming for the pets. So these are shelters or photos of a shelter that I have brought into Young Living, and they have at least 14 diffusers, and they just expanded and grew their shelter. So I'm waiting to go in to see where we need to expand and get more diffusers for them. But it's very calming for the pets. It's very welcoming for the visitors because sometimes cats and dogs, especially if you have a lot of them, it may not smell the best. And if scents, if there's, animal smells that are off-putting, people may walk away without adopting. So this creates a very welcoming scent for visitors, a very fresh, natural scent, and it can provide behavioral support so that the animals truly can show their best self so that they can be adopted. The intake and isolation areas are also excellent areas to incorporate the oils because these are high-stressed areas, not only for the animals, but for the people working there. So like I said before, we need to make shelters more welcoming to bring in animals that are no longer wanted. We need to get those animals into safe care rather than having them abandoned, put outdoors to fend for themselves or dumped on the side of the road or even killed. So we need to make it so that it's welcoming for everyone to bring in their pets. And welcoming is not only just a happy, fresh scent, but it's helping the staff that is intaking animals, because if that's your job, that can get really depressing. So it can create a calmness to the families. It can create a welcoming environment. It can calm the staff. And in the end, it can calm the animals, because if an animal has been in a home for a long time, they're losing their home, they're losing their people, they're losing other animals. And so that stress of losing that can actually trigger physical ailments. So having diffusers and oils in the intake areas and the isolation areas can absolutely help. Behavioral testing areas is another fantastic place to have diffusers and to have oils, because when dogs are being tested to see if they will pass a behavioral test so that they can go into the adoption ward, that behavioral test, they may only get it once. It may only be 10 minutes long or 5 minutes long, and it can make the difference between life and death. So calming oils can soften the energy, help the dog be really at his or her best so that they can determine, is this dog good around people, around children, around babies? Is this dog, food aggressive or toy aggressive? And using the oils can help significantly in this area. The veterinary surgical areas in a shelter are another great place to have essential oils. It can keep the air fresh, to support recovery. It can support the pets during their stay to keep them calm, because if animals are really stressed out, that stresses out the body, and instead of the healing going to where it needs to be, the body is stressed out and it can inhibit healing. So the oils can really support healthy body systems so that the animals can get back into the adoption ward and find a new home. Now, when do you want to incorporate these oils? So I've kind of already touched on this, but here's just a simple bullet point list. You can do it at arrivals, at the intake area. Because of the stress and the fear and the grief of losing a home, the oils can really help. You can use oils during transportation. So if your rescue goes to mobile adoptions, if you are transporting animals to their new home or to be looked at, if you are transporting them across the city, across the state, across the country, you can diffuse oils to help de-stress the situation. You can use oils before and after surgery to support recovery. You can use oils during adoption events so that the animals are not as stressed and show themselves in the best way possible. You can use oils with behavioral issues so that, again, pets are going to show themselves better to be adopted. And I think it would be great to send oils home with each adopted pet so that they can really integrate harmoniously into their new home and be accepted. So how are you going to do this? The diffuser is my number one way of doing this. And when you're working with Young Living oils, because they are a therapeutic grade oil, you only want to use a cold diffuser. If a diffuser heats the water, all it will do is scent the air, and it's not going to provide the therapeutic support. So Young Living has really amazing diffusers. So you can put diffusers in shelter. You can put diffusers in your car and during transport. You can put diffusers in foster care situations, in foster rooms. I like to put oils on blankets, either blankets in a cage, blankets in a carrier. You know, there's my cat Lucy, who normally gets very stressed out when she goes in the carrier, and I just put a drop of oil, and I'm going to go through some specific oils shortly, but I just put a drop of oil on her blanket, and she looks really calm in that photo. You can put drops of oils directly on cage and kennel doors or carrier doors. If you are nebulizing animals to help support their respiratory system, you can use oils in that process. You can topically apply oils. Now, I'm not necessarily going into how to topically apply oils because at the Young Living Conference, other presenters covered that, but just real briefly, with cats, even with Young Living safe oils, you always have to dilute. A 9-to-1 ratio of carrier oil to essential oil. So 9 drops of a carrier oil to 1 drop of an essential oil. For dogs 25 pounds and under, you're going to do about 4 or 5 drops of carrier oil to 1 drop of essential oil. And then dogs over 25 pounds can handle 1 drop straight on them. And the Young Living oils can also be ingested. Now, when I talk about ingesting oils or using some of the Young Living supplements with pets, I need to let you know that Young Living has not endorsed those yet for pets. They are endorsed for people, but it's a whole nother regulatory mechanism they have to go through to get those specifically approved for ingestion in pets. So what I'm talking about is based on my experience with animals. So as I go through those, this is my experience. But like I said, you need to do your own research. You need to test this out yourself. So you can also put oils on you. And I feel that this is one of the most important things when working around shelter and rescue pets, because it keeps us calm and it puts us in a state of harmony, which the animals feed off of. So especially if you're working with scared or timid pets, put the oils either on a diffuser necklace, like in that photo, that's a clay necklace, and you can put oils on the back and wear it, and the animals will smell the oils. or you can put oils on the back of your neck. The one thing that I do is I don't put the oils on my hands, because that's how I greet animals, is I offer my hands for them to smell. And because animals have a heightened sense of smell, I don't want to go to them with really smelly, oily hands. So when I am in shelter or in a rescue, the oils are in a diffuser necklace or on the back of my neck. Now let me go through some specific oils, and I'm going to go through these pretty quick. But these are the oils that you can talk to shelters and rescues about based on what their needs are. And like I said at the beginning, find out what they're struggling with, because not every shelter and not every rescue is going to deal with the same thing. So find out what they're struggling with, and then I'm going to give you some groupings of oils that you can talk to them about. And many of these are in the starter kit where shelters and rescues can get started. So when animals are confined in a shelter setting, the air can become unhealthy very quickly. Even with ventilation and fresh air moving, that's important, but it doesn't completely resolve the issue. And for cats, respiratory support is essential for cats in shelter and in rescue. So these 4 oils can help with keeping air fresh and keeping the air healthy. So when you diffuse these with a cold diffuser, you can naturally, without toxins, provide fresh smelling air and air that is healthy for animals to breathe. And when an animal breathes in an oil, it can provide this therapeutic support found in these oils. So eucalyptus is a great oil for the respiratory system. Purification is a blend. And this is really, really good to put in the air. I mean, the name kind of says it all. The RC oil is another great oil for respiratory support. It actually has 3 different types of eucalyptus in it, so it is really good to diffuse. And then the thieves oil is excellent for diffusing because it supports healthy immune function, and it can help keep air fresh. The next category is oils to support scared or timid animals. Now, there can be a fine line between scared, aggressive, and vicious animals. And when an animal first comes into shelter, it's really important to assume that they're scared and just let them calm down. Give them a couple of days and put them in a location, that is quiet. Maybe play some classical music, put a towel or a blanket over their cage or kennel, give them a place to hide. If it's a cat, give them a box to put in. But after a day or 2, it's time to encourage them to come out, because constant hiding can lead to that continued behavior. So these 3 oils are really my go-to trio for anything that behaviorally is going on with a shelter or rescue animal. One of these 3 is going to help. So the acceptance oil is a great oil to help animals just energetically accept what has happened, to accept that they lost their home, to accept that their human family and their animal family is no longer with them. And it helps them to stop being stuck in being upset about losing their home. And I've seen it, countless times with shelter and rescue pets who are too scared. They don't know where they are, and they're not showing their true personality. And those animals can very quickly be labeled aggressive, and aggressive animals tend to be euthanized. So this oil can really help save lives. I like to diffuse it. You can place a drop on a towel that's in the cage. You can put it on a toy. You can pat it down their back. The other oil is Peace and Calming. This is a very relaxing oil. It's really great for animals that are struggling. And it's also a great oil for animals when they're being adopted, especially if they're going into a home where there's young kids or babies. And even though some pets love kids and babies, it's just good to really get them used to the Peace and Calming oil. It's also a great oil for transport, for animals who are really scared or timid being transported. So again, you can put it down their back. You can put it on a blanket. You can put it on a toy. And then Valor, this is a really great calming oil. It's an oil of strength, an oil of courage, because when an animal is scared, we don't necessarily know why. I mean, do they feel so small and weak that they are being aggressive? You know, the bark is bigger than the bite. Are they doing that because they just really need confidence and they're overreacting? Or do they just need to feel at peace in the environment, or do they need to accept it? I mean, these are all very different oils for doing different things. This is why it is my go-to trio. For pets who come into shelter or rescue who are pregnant or have given birth, they can often be very protective of their little ones, and that protection can come off as viciousness. I've seen this in animals where shelters are prepared to euthanize the mom and the babies because of the aggressiveness. And this is where Gentle Baby can come in. It was designed specifically for moms and babies, and it can calm emotions during pregnancy. So this is a good one to diffuse, to drop on a blanket, to pet down the spine. It truly can save a life. And I saw this with a friend of mine who helped a dog who was at an animal control and very protective of her babies. And we were able to get her moved to a Humane Society. I donated a bottle of Gentle Baby, and that dog calmed down. And she did great and was not so viciously protective of her babies. So it goes back to where I said that the animals, they sense their environment, and she sensed that she was not safe at animal control, and she went into primal protection mode of her babies. So this can actually help take that edge off so that they can really show their true personalities. The next category is for pets who are sad or grieving the loss of their home. And these oils can also help the shelter staff because they're going to deal with sadness and grief in their work. So frankincense is the Life Force Vitality Oil. It's very uplifting. People use it in meditation. It makes you feel great. And in the energy world, our bodies and animals' bodies are filled with energy meridians. And frankincense works on the lung meridian. And the lung meridian is where grief is stored. So this is a really great oil to help process grief. Joy, the name says it all. It was actually created to help with grief and loss. And it's just floral oils and citrus oils, which are all very uplifting and happy. So this is a great oil to let animals smell. And you can diffuse it, you can put it on their blanket, you can even have them smell it right from the bottle. And then Release is another great oil, because if animals are still not adjusting to being where they are, they just may have some pent-up emotions that they need to release. So this is a really great one that you can diffuse, or you can even put it on the bottom of their feet, because we release energy through the bottom of our feet, and this will help with that. For animals that are struggling and you just don't know why, these are some of my favorites. And, you know, we often can't get to the underlying issue. We just know that they're not showing their best self. So any of these oils you can diffuse, you can topically apply, and they really can take the edge off of the environment to help the animals adjust. So I've already talked about acceptance. The Harmony oil brings a harmonic balance to the air, to the body, to the emotions. It eases tension. It can help pets get along and to adjust. It has a lot of beautiful supportive oils in it, a lot of flower oils. Hope does what it says. It restores hope. And I have a lot of people ask me, well, Allie, how can you put hope in a bottle, or harmony in a bottle, or acceptance in a bottle? How does that work? Well, the thing with Young Living is they know the frequencies of the oils, and emotions have a frequency. You know, harmony has a frequency, acceptance has a frequency, joy, hope, forgiveness, you know, happiness, they all have a frequency. And Young Living, they blend their oil blends to create a specific frequency. They don't blend it to smell good. Because I'll tell you, some of them don't smell very good. These all do, but some of them don't. And it's because they blend to reach a specific frequency to help us and animals get there. So the hope oil is really good for pets that lose the will to live. And so this should really be a good first resort oil. I mean, it has melissa oil in it, which is really good for highly sensitive animals to help them adjust. Lavender is a great oil. It's very calming, it's very cooling, just helps animals adjust. And white angelica is a great blend. This is the blend that I call the warm blanket blend, because it's like you've just wrapped them in a warm blanket and you're just rocking them back and forth until they, purr or snore. It just brings on such a positive atmosphere, and it just feels very protective. Now, shelters and rescues are going to get animals that have been abused and neglected, unfortunately. And shelters and rescues should be a safe haven for these animals. And, I've noticed, because I have specialized in animal abuse cases throughout my legal career, and I've noticed that many animals are very resilient. They just want shelter, food, and a lot of love. And they know when they've been rescued and they know when they're safe. But others may need a little more help to release what has happened to them. But too many shelters and too many rescue groups are understaffed. They don't have the money. And they're of the mindset of getting the animals to safety, bringing them in, getting them stitched up, and getting them out the door to their adoptive home. And they're not addressing the emotional life of the animals. And that can be critically important, because if an animal is adopted with a behavioral issue, that animal has a higher likelihood of being returned, which is traumatic, re-traumatizing for the animal. It's traumatic for the adoptive family, and it's traumatic for the shelter or rescue staff, because nobody wants an animal coming back. So Trauma Life and Tea Away, these are very similar oils. The Trauma Life blend is actually contained in Tea Away, along with additional oils. But you can see Young Living has oils specifically for animals. Now, the nice thing about Young Living is the oils, all the oils can be used for people or pets, and even the animal scents line can be used for people. So they're very interchangeable. But the Trauma Life and the Tea Away oils help to release buried emotional trauma that can come from accidents, from neglect, from the death of a loved one, from being assaulted, from being abused. Heck, it can even just be from storms, being afraid of storms, being afraid of going to the veterinarian, going in for, spay and neutering surgery, that sort of thing. So these are really beautiful oils to diffuse, to let the animals smell, to apply down their back. The release oil I've already talked about helps to release emotions before they become pent up and cause physical issues. Sarah, this is a beautiful oil that was designed specifically to soothe deep emotional wounds. And it can really help to begin the release process of traumatic memories of abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, ritual torture, even emotional abuse. And sadly, this does happen in our world. So it has a lot of very beautiful high vibrational oils that we can work and use with animals. And then Valor, I've talked about this as the oil of strength and security and courage. And this can really help abused and neglected animals begin to trust humans again. Now, when it comes to shelter and rescue pets, sometimes they come in and they just look like a hot mess. Their skin and fur is not looking great. So these are 3 great oils from the Animal Sense line. Pure Clean, the names kind of say exactly what they do. Pure Clean is really good to use on skin and fur to just get it clean in a very natural way. You can topically apply it, you can put it in water and spray it on, you can turn it into a, like a sudsy shampoo and use it. The Infect Away oil is really good on areas of the skin that need some help. Maybe the animal got into some fights. And then the Mendwell, this is really good for skin support. It really helps the skin start to get back to its normal state. Now, I am going to talk about oils for healthy digestion. And again, Young Living doesn't specifically label these products for ingestion in animals, but I'm talking about my experience in using these. Because when animals come into shelter, their food is likely going to change. So they ate one thing in their home, or they were astray and ate one thing, and then they come into shelter. And sometimes shelters and rescue groups, they even change food depending on what's been donated to them. So this can cause some digestive upset. And so copaiba is a very, very soft scent, and it is a great oil to place in food, or you can place it on the gums of animals, and it will go into their bloodstream. That is an overall wellness oil. So it's a really good one to start with because it's so soft. Second oil is Digest, and these are labeled, they're vitality oils. So at least for humans, Young Living has labeled them for ingestion. But the Digest, you can use it aromatically, but you can use it for ingestion, and it helps support the digestive system as pets come into shelter and just need to get their digestive system settled so that it's running properly. The Life 9 product, this is a probiotic from Young Living. It has 17 billion active cultures. This is really excellent because you can break open the capsule and you can sprinkle it on their food, and it'll start to recolonize the gut so that it is running in a healthy manner. And then Ningxia Red. This is my favorite. It, for humans, is labeled as a whole body superfruit supplement that is high in antioxidants. So it supports energy levels and normal cellular function and normal eye health. But to me, for pets, it is head to paws, whole body nutrient infusion to energize and fortify and revitalize the body. And when pets have come into shelter, the emotional change that they've gone through can physically impact their body. Some pets love to drink this straight, put a little bit in a teaspoon and they'll drink it straight. My cats get it every single morning. They get 3 to 4 drops in their cat food, and they really enjoy it. Now, one question that I've gotten is this particular product contains citrus oils. It has orange, yuzu, lemon, and tangerine essential oils in it. And people are very nervous about using citrus oils around cats in particular. So here's the thing with Young Living products. Yes, we have to dilute oils that we give to cats because they're missing an enzyme in their liver to be able to process out the oils or medication, things like that. The Ningxia Red has enzymes in it which help the body be able to process all of the nutrients in it in the proper way. That's why I feel confident in giving the Ningxia Red to my cats, because it has enzymes in it, and I know that they can process out the citrus oils. Let's talk about skin and fur support. Like I said before, there are some pets that come into shelter and rescue and they look a hot mess. Their skin and fur is really messed up. So I really want you to look at the shampoo that you're using for dogs, because if you look at the ingredients, chances are it is full of toxins. It's full of ingredients that you can't even pronounce, and you're going to have to go and Google what they do. Switch over to the animal scent shampoo. It contains pure essential oils like citronella, lavender, lemon, geranium, and spikenard. It has aloe vera in it. We all know how soothing that is. So this is a very gentle way that you can wash and protect the fur and the skin without harmful toxins. The animal scent ointment, this seals in and protects the skin. You can put oils over skin that has been harmed and then put this ointment over it, and it acts like a bandage. It's very protective. It's very soothing. It's for external use, but it is safe if a pet licks it. So it's really good for nursing mothers, who have sore or inflamed teeth. It's really good around surgical scars to support the healthy skin. And this particular product has tea tree in it. And again, a lot of people are very concerned about using tea tree around cats, really around all animals. And most tea tree will be harmful and can actually kill some pets. But Young Living tea tree is different. This particular product, I don't know when it was created. I just know that it is one of the first products that Young Living created. And Young Living has been around since 1994. So this product has been around 20 years, and it does contain tea tree, but it also contains other oils in it and other carrier oils. They wouldn't be selling it if it caused a problem for cats. And I have used this extensively on cats. Used it just a month or so ago. And her story's not in here because it happened after the conference, but used it on a cat who had some pretty serious issues on her chin. And we used the ointment, and her skin and her fur went back to normal, healthy levels. I mean, it was really beautiful to watch. But lavender is known for its skin and fur abilities. So that's a really great oil to use. And then Ningxia Red just helps from the inside out. Because when people come to me and they say that their pets are having skin or fur issues, the number one thing I ask them is to look at the food, because the body will start expelling toxins through the skin, which is the largest organ. So if there's problems with food, if there's an allergic reaction or a toxin in a food, it can come out the skin. So this is where Ningxia Red can really help support during that process. But again, it's really looking to the food, and it's going to maybe a homemade food diet or raw food or freeze-dried diet, and that can help with those issues. Now let's get into some stories from the cats and dogs. This is my favorite part. So the shelter where I volunteer at here in Michigan, they're part of Young Living and use the oils throughout the shelter. So this was a cat named Jazzberry, and she was surrendered to the shelter and was incredibly stressed out. So she was put back in quarantine because she was having some behavioral issues. And when you think about when we're stressed out, we breathe very shallow. We have a hard time catching our breath. And so they use the RC oil to really help with supporting her respiratory system. And it worked. It really helped to calm her down and to help get her to a place where she could go into the adoption ward and be adopted. Scout, this one broke my heart, but it all ended up being good in the end. So Scout was surrendered to the shelter. This was back in February of this year, 2017. He had spent most of his life outside. He was not getting properly socialized. He was about 5 years old. I got the call from the shelter that he had been in his kennel, terrified and shaking violently for 2 days. And it caused extreme vomiting and diarrhea. There was no medical cause for this. The veterinarians checked him out, and they said he's just literally shaking himself to death, and we're very worried. He also would not make eye contact, and they were very worried about that. So I came in with my trio of valor, peace, and calming, and acceptance. And now I want to show you this video. And this is me meeting Scout for the first time. We took him back into an administrative office, and I spent a total of 20 minutes with him, but these are the first couple of minutes that I spent with him.
What are you thinking? He's like, I'm not so sure.
I'm using valor.
Yeah, it's on the floor. You're not shaking as much. Oh, now you're shaking.
He was visibly shaking.
You're okay.
It's important to be on the level of the animals when you're doing this rather than hovering above them. So you're going to spend a lot of time on the floor. I let him smell. I don't shove it in his face or forcibly apply it. I let him smell.
All right, I got some on his shoulders. It's courage oil.
He's starting to look us in the eyes. He's also very hyper aware of what's going on the other side of the door.
All right, so you're not shaking that much.
And he's now courageous, and he's going over and he's checking out the door. So he actually has his back against the office door. Not the best video view there.
Take us. Come on.
I'm letting him smell peace and calming here. So he's not so hyper protective
you
of
just
that
have
door.
the most worried look on your eyes. You look so worried. Like his nose isn't even moving.
Yeah.
Like he's holding his
I
breath.
can like smell it. You know how much
Yeah.
I smell it?
So I had the behaviorist in the office with me, and she was taking notes. But after about 20 minutes of using valor, then peace and calming, then acceptance, and then I put Digize on his stomach, he came over and he looked us both square in the eyes. That evening, he went into foster care, and he was shortly after that adopted. So this was a dog that was not going to have a good outcome, and it just took a variety of oils and seeing what would work on him. But as you saw in the beginning, I simply uncapped a bottle of Valor, and I set it in the middle of the floor between me and him. And that's how I started the process, so that he didn't feel so overwhelmed like I was pushing these on him. All right, now here's a cat named Mr. Business, and this cat was a bully. He was just a bully in the cat room, and he was beating up on the other cats and was scaring the staff. So you're gonna see what I did to get him to a better place. He's very stressed out. I thought he was going to attack me with those growls.
Okay.
I just set the Valor on the floor between me and him.
You want to smell? You've been very agitated. You've been very agitated. Well, that seems to be working better than the peace and calming. Uh-huh. You're okay.
Did you see how calm he got? And, you know, when I'm dealing with animals who, you know, frankly, he was aggressive. He was aggressive. I was a little nervous being in there. Even the behaviorist walked out. I will just set the bottle on the floor, or I will wave the bottle. I was not even going to attempt to topically apply the oils on him, because that could have stressed him out even more. But you saw, he almost went into a very meditative trance. He calmed down. That entire transaction was about 2 to 3 minutes. That's how quickly he calmed down. This was another cat, a she named Grover. So she was probably angry about that, having a boy's name. But she was surrendered for litter box issues and was very afraid, was cowering in her cage. She was actually attacking the cage door. They had put a towel over it, And they didn't know what to do. So I started waving the Valor underneath the towel. And after about 30 seconds, I also did that with Peace and Calming. After 30 seconds, I pulled down the towel, and that is the picture that I saw. She was relaxed. And she was relaxed to the point where the veterinarians came in and they got her so that they could do her initial exam and some initial vaccines. But she was very afraid and striking out before that. And it just took 30 seconds of waving the Valor and the Peace and Calming in front of her cage. So this is just some, the cat isolation room where they have a diffuser back there. And the shelter said they've noticed a decrease in stress-related responses for the cats coming out of surgery. They seem more relaxed since they've had the diffusers in place. Now they do sound machines as well, but they do feel that the diffusers are really helping. And, and they say, hey, we don't know if it's the oils or something else, but for them, if it helps 1 out of 50 animals, it's worth it to them to be a part of Young Living and use the Young Living products. So let me talk about New Beginning Animal Rescue in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is a picture of Rain, who was up for adoption, and they were taking her to a mobile adoption event. She was scared. She was in the back of the cage, trying to disappear. She didn't want to be there. And that's a pretty common response when cats in particular go out to adoption events. But they used lavender on her topically, and she was more relaxed. They said she was still a little scared, but much more relaxed and not trying to hide. That helps so that they show better, because when people come to adoption events looking, they're not going to give a second look at a cat or a dog that's terrified. So it can really help them calm down, show their best side. Here's Susie Q. Again, another cat at the adoption event, was doing very fast breathing, was tense and nervous and not relaxed. They topically use lavender, and I love that bottom picture. She looks like she's about to fall asleep. She is so relaxed, and she got adopted. And that's the whole point, right? Let's help them show their best side to get adopted. Marigold. So Marigold was really getting stressed out at adoption events. But when her foster mom was using lavender and Valor topically on her, she would not, when cats are really stressed out, they stiffen their body, and they feel like a bundle of nerves. And the foster mom noticed a difference when holding her, that she was calmer, still nervous, but calmer. And then here's Faith. And I love this photo because the rescue said that, Faith was usually crouched down in the back of the crate. She wanted to disappear. But after they put lavender on her, she is alert. She's up front. She just has that look about her like, hey, look at me, take me home. And they actually moved her up front to a different crate so that they could showcase her more because she was so relaxed. Now I want to show you a video from New Beginnings. 70 animals flew from Nashville to the state of Washington on a rescue plane. This was back on February 15th of this year. And animals from New Beginnings Animal Rescue, along with all these other rescues, joined together and put cats and dogs on this plane. New Beginnings had lavender oil, Young Living lavender oil, topically applied to their animals before the flight. In this video, I want you to watch at the very end for a dog named Lucy. Lucy had lavender applied, and I just love the comment that you're going to hear.
So again, here's Lucy. You're going to be carted off to the Cosmobile. Here's Lucy again, so calm, even after a flight.
you could hear all the other dogs barking and really super stressed out. And Lucy was just sitting there, very calm. So that's a real testament, because she took a flight from Nashville to the state of Washington. So it's a real testament to how these oils can help in transport. Dr. Kim Kendall is a veterinarian from Sydney, Australia, and she is a part of my Young Living team. And when I visited her cat clinic and her cat cafe, which was awesome, she really wanted to try the oils there. She also has a lot of cats come in for boarding, and she puts peace and calming on the beds of those boarders, and they start to breathe normally and start to calm down. She also has it diffusing in the cat cafe. And I mean, look at those cats. They look, very, very relaxed. But Dr. Kim also uses it in a very unique way, because if you have ever tried to put a cat on a weigh scale, they do the spread eagle and are really antsy, and it's very challenging to get them on a weigh scale. So she takes these little empty essential oil sample bottles, and she puts a little cotton bud in it, and she doesn't have a diffuser because she found that it was a little too strong in that room. So she puts a little peace and calming into that little sample bottle, sets it right next to the weigh scale, and she's getting better results in getting the cats on the scale to weigh them. I think that's genius what she's done. And lastly, I want to end with, it's a very bittersweet story. So this is my cat, Jacob. And he came to me in June of 2012 after he had lost at least 3 homes. And you see the before photo, he was suffering from a staph infection and ringworm on his face. He had cystitis. He was not using the litter box, and I taught him how to use puppy pads. But he was social and friendly, but he was not bonding to people. He wasn't bonding with me. He did bond with my cat, Oscar, who unfortunately died 4 months after Jacob arrived. So yet it was another loss that Jacob had to suffer. And I eventually adopted Jacob. And, but he had a host of issues, of physical and emotional issues. And so I used release oil, trauma life, and valor on him because I didn't know what had happened to him. I didn't know if anything had happened to him. I didn't know why he was being surrendered back so many times. But I knew that he was broken. He was heartbroken. I knew that something happened because he had bad reactions when he heard plastic bags rustle. He was not using his litter box, but I trained him to use puppy pads, and he was the king of the puppy pads. So these 3 oils really emotionally supported him, and he was able to release whatever happened. Those who met him were very surprised at how he was originally, because he was very friendly after the oils and very outgoing, very courageous because of the Valor oil, sometimes too courageous. And so that's a really good protocol to use when pets just come into shelter or rescue and you just feel that they're broken and you want to help them. Now, sadly, Jacob unexpectedly passed away on April 3rd of this year. And we certainly miss him, but he had a good 5 years here in the Phillips home, which is probably the longest home he ever had. But I just love telling this story because for those of you who met Jacob, you know how he was able to, piece his heart back together and physically be pieced back together. So real testament to the oils. So for anyone who is listening who is not a member of Young Living, I want to give you 2 ways that you can really think about this. And I want to give you 2 ways that you can talk to a shelter or a rescue about joining. They can certainly start with the premium starter kit because I have talked about almost all of the 11 oils that come in the starter kit. And the starter kit does come with a diffuser. But you can also piecemeal together a starter kit for them. And so one flyer that I made that I hand out to them includes the basic starter kit, which just comes with a bottle of Stress Away, but it's a great oil to use with pets. They need to add in a diffuser, and then they can customize it from there and add whatever they want. Do they want valor, peace and calming and acceptance? You know, do they want the release oil? Do they want, you know, the animal sense ointment? You can help them piece it together. So don't feel like you need to just go to them and say, it's the premium starter kit or it's nothing, because there's ways that you can piecemeal this together. And I find that they really like that. They want to do what's right for them. So that's certainly an option. So please share that with the shelters and rescues. And if you have any questions, you can connect with me on all of my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube pages. There's a lot of videos about animals and essential oils on my YouTube page. So at this point, I just want to check in. Are there any questions? I'm back on video. Any questions from anybody? I haven't seen any questions. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, Jacob was very special. We still miss him a lot. But I'll tell you, the oils that I talked about with grief and sadness, I use them. And Rudy, his brother here, who, I don't know if you can see Rudy in the video. He's sleeping. Lucy is sleeping right here. But we use those oils, and it absolutely helped us with the grief and loss. So any questions that anyone has, you can type in the chat, or here, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody so you can actually speak if you want to. Any questions?
Allie, do you have a suggestion for separation anxiety that animals might have?
I would go back to, let's see, I would go back to the oils for scared and timid animals. So valor, peace and calming, and acceptance.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, any other questions? Let's see, we got a chat here. So how many shelters and vets have I helped? Wow, I have no idea. I have talked to a lot, and many of them haven't signed up, but they will buy oils from me. They haven't signed up yet, but I have, let's see, I've spoken, I can't even put a number on it because I teach at so many animal protection conferences and have booths. So I've probably spoken with 50 shelters and rescues. I'm just sticking a number on it. So a lot, just starting to raise awareness about it. So yeah, so I would really encourage you to, if you are connected to a rescue or a shelter, certainly tell them about this. Or if you're a little nervous about doing that, connect me to them. I'll talk to them. I love talking to them. Same thing with veterinarians. So, you know, it's really important that we do this. And in my mind, it doesn't matter who has that conversation as long as the conversation is had. So if you'd like me to do it, I'm super happy to do it. All right, any other questions? All right, well, I am gonna go ahead and end this video. Thank you for joining in, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's, you know, I was very happy to give this presentation at the conference, and I've gotten a lot of emails from people afterwards. So people all over the United States and even other countries who saw this are really spreading the word, and that just makes me so happy. So have a great night, everybody, and thanks for joining in.